I have very little doubt that the platform had some role in me being not only elected, but also that result that I received from the electors. I know there are a lot of people down, particularly in the South Island and particularly in Otago Southland, who listen to the platform. I just want to say thank you very much for putting your trust and your faith in me. Um, and there's a lot of work to be done. A lot of people think, and I guess I've had experience of being a member of parliament, a mayor, a regional councillor now. A lot of people think that, a lot of elected people, when they get elected for the first time, there's a great deal of pleasure and joy and excitement that they've been elected. And on Saturday afternoon or Saturday night, throughout literally hundreds, if not thousands of households in this country, there were played out varying degrees of either pleasure or pain. And as many people lost as one, and probably more people lost than one actually. And so there's a disappointment for some, and there is excitement and a feeling of exhilaration in some cases for others. That lasts probably the weekend. So they've probably got themselves, we have a few celebratory drinks on the Saturday night. They've probably hung over and fielding congratulations from friends and family the next day. But can I say, for anybody who's been elected into local government in New Zealand, boy, you wanted this, because there will be times over the next 3 years where almost every elected member, be they a mayor, a chairman of a regional council, an elected member of a city or district council, a community board member, is going to actually be tearing their hair out literally if they've got any now. Because the next 3 years in this country, I think, will be the toughest 3 years in local government that this country has experienced probably ever. Because now what happened over the weekend, and we'll talk further with this with Bryce Edwards, is that the people who were rewarded, the people who are leading your communities now, are largely people who promised to bring down rates demands to either the rate of inflation or less. And they are now going to have to deliver over the next 3 years. It has been characterised, this local government election result, as being a move to the right. Well, it wasn't actually. There are certain, and Wellington was exactly the opposite. Wellington was a complete move to the left. I mean, you really want to know why Wellington shouldn't be trusted? Just go again on Saturday night to the Wellington City Council elections, and 10 of the 16 councillors elected, which is an increase, I think, of 2 or 3, either had the Greens or Labour appellation added to them. So almost 2/3 of the, is it almost 2/3? Yes, it's almost 2/3, isn't it? Of the Wellington Council are either Green or Labour. And so Tony Randall, when we talked to him after 12, I don't know how he's going to be feeling, because I think he knows that he's actually not going to have a great deal of influence over the next 3 years. But for the rest of the country, the people who got rewarded were those who said, I'm going to reduce your rates. It's really interesting in Wellington. They're meant to be going through a recession. They're meant to be having their public sector being put to the wall. They've got huge costs associated with the negligence and neglect of councils past and present. And yet they voted for left-leaning councillors, more cycleways, less parking spaces, higher rates, and administering local government spending. So the next time you hear somebody in Wellington saying we are poor, and we'll come to that a little bit later on, can I just say to them, yeah, well, you vote like effing morons, because you voted for this. Around New Zealand, though, exactly the opposite. Most people, and whether they were of a centre or a right disposition, were rewarded if they said, we're going to reduce rates or keep them at a level, and that's going to be the hard part. Can I tell you, there's only one way you can reduce rates in this country, from personal and political experience. Here it goes. The only way that you can reduce rates in New Zealand is cutting local government staff. It's the only way. There isn't any other way. You can't make money because local government isn't a business enterprise. It can't suddenly grow itself, market itself to, well, I don't know, new councils or new countries as to how you're going to run yourself. They're not commercial enterprises. In fact, if they were commercial enterprises, a good many of them would be almost bankrupt. They are nothing other than job creation work programs in many places. And the reason that your rates are like they are is because local government has grown like topsy in the last 10 years. And the only way you're going to reduce rates is if you start cutting staff. There are too many staff in too many councils in this country, drawing far too higher salaries for really non-productive or very, I guess you could describe unproductive work streams and patterns. And so all I'm saying is, if I was working in local government at the moment and I had looked at that local government election result and it was uniform, well, it wasn't uniform, but if it was, there was a trend discerned in this country, I'd just be brushing up my CV at the moment. If I was because there will be a lot of middle managers in local government who I imagine will be priority number one. And on this day, I would also suggest to you a lot of very nervous chief executives, because they've suddenly got a council that's arrived, in some cases an entire council, Bulla, a good example, have arrived with a very clear view that the ratepayer is the person to look after, not the staff. So, just saying. It's going to be a very, very interesting next 3 years, and I think for a lot of councils, a very, very, very interesting next 12 months.